Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing one of their past projects. We will let you decide if it was good or bad or just plain ugly. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is curb appeal. As real estate investors, when we are flipping a house, sometimes we can be so focused on the renovation of the inside that we forget about the exterior of a property. When buyers visit a property, that is the first thing they see. Sprucing up your curb appeal can be as simple as a few bags of mulch and some potted plants. You want that first impression to be a lasting one. Another easy addition to a front porch is a simple welcome home mat that may evoke a little emotion for a potential buyer. A big one for me is clean windows. You can have amazing finishes in your kitchen, but if they look through a dirty kitchen window, that could leave a bad impression. If you have a little more money in your budget, update the house numbers and mailbox. One of my favorites is to paint the front door a bright color. If there's an older light fixture, update that too. Hiring a landscaping company to trim up overgrown shrubs can also make your house appear larger. So before you list that completed renovation, remember to wow your buyers with some standout curb appeal. Now on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us RAIN member Lisa Romano. Lisa is a real estate investor, realtor, coach, and mentor. Lisa is a native of Connecticut and a graduate of the University of Connecticut. Prior to starting her real estate career, Lisa has had a very successful career where she developed and marketed financial services software for major international corporations holding various executive management positions at global companies. Lisa found her love for real estate when building her own home and further solidified it after buying and renovating a beach home. Shortly after, she put her business skills to use and teamed up with her daughter to create a real estate redevelopment company dedicated to relieving people of their real estate solutions while helping the communities they live in. For the past several years, she has worn multiple real estate related hats, including realtor and investor, focusing on flipping properties and building rental portfolios. Lisa is a dear friend of mine, and it's a pleasure to have her back on the show. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you, Jen.
Yay.
Glad to be here today.
My sister, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you doing?
I am good. It's a weird weather day today, but whatever. We are bringing the sunshine here into the studio, and we're happy to have you. And
yeah, we're the same here. It's dreary, but we're gonna make it all sunny today. So
yes, exactly. And you are a coach with me for the HomeSchooled by Tarek education program, which we love, love, love. So I
really do love it.
Yes, I get to hang out with you on coaching calls every week and see your face, and you do great things with the students. So I do.
I love it. I'm surprised how much I love it. I've been doing, I don't know, a year and a half or so now, going on 2 years, whatever it is. But I just love everything about it. I love the coaching team. I love meeting the students. It's been a really great experience. So I'm had never really envisioned that, and it kind of came to me through different people that I knew and that knew about you guys and the program, and I couldn't be happier with it. So
well, you are a great coach, great at inspiring students. So we are going to talk about one of your past projects today. So maybe you can inspire us when I hear this one's a doozy. The first time I had you on the show, you had like a home run project, and I'm like,
home run. That's right.
Easy peasy. I'm like, so were there any surprises? And you're like, no, not really.
No, it went easy. I know. I thought like, well, every once in a while you have to put a plug out there for projects can go right when you manage them, right? And when And that project was a couple years into it. This one that we're going to talk about today was our first projects that we bought two on the same day. It kind of just happened that they closed on like New Year's Eve, kind of thing like that at the end of the year. And one of those was a cookie cutter. It was that perfect house, interior. It didn't need a roof, small leak, but interior, bathroom, kitchen, not major paint, you're very basic. 3 weeks in and out, and we were like, we've got this. And then that second project is the one we'll talk about today. And it was evident that we did not have it. So yes, it was our biggest learning curve. Everything I've learned is either from coaches. I did coach with, a coaching company similar to what we do with our students. But it's either through that and or this project. Everything I learned.
And a lot of learn by doing. So let's dive in here. Tell us about the property. Give us the description, beds and baths, what year it was built, along with anything special about the lot, etc.
Yes, it is. It was a classic 2-bedroom, 1-bath that we wanted to convert and make it 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. So, our goal was to expand it. Again, remember, first project, had not really even been in real estate, but, we're like, we can add bedroom, we can add a bathroom, we can do this and that. It was about an hour away from where we lived, which actually very close to where I live now. But so, on the shoreline of Connecticut, which is a different market than where I was an hour inland. I was just outside of Hartford. This was down at the shore. Very, very different everything, prices, markets, what people want, what they look for, things like that. Did not really recognize that difference, obviously. Just assumed everybody buys everything at the beach and prices are higher, right? And, so things like that. So really, I really have to say we probably misread that market. We miss everything on this.
Well, how'd you find it?
Yes, through a realtor friend, again, very strong retail realtor, really helped us with the process, but not really as like an investor mindset. And, I say that to so many of the students now, everybody's not created equal, right? Contractors are not equal. Realtors are not equal. There are realtors that are just super strong retail, but yet that investment mindset is not there. And in fairness, it is not their fault. Their business is retail.
Right.
Like it really was my issue that I was not able to really communicate what I'm looking for. Right. Because I was just so new. I was like, oh, definitely, ARV was too high, but I never really thought, can you show me some? It was like, oh, you think that's what the ARV is? Let's put it down. Things like that. So again, it's really me as an investor. I was not able to communicate what I needed. Probably did not even know it, what I needed, but
So you're a rock star realtor up in your area. I'm assuming you did not have your real estate license at the time?
I did not. Okay. I did not get it for 3 or 4 years into investing.
Okay. All right. So you found it with a realtor. It was listed on the MLS. What was the asking price? What did you get under contract for? Tell us all that fun stuff.
So it was a foreclosure, right? So bank-owned property. Very, horrible condition. We went over listing price because, again, the concept of our advice was, if you really want this, go in higher. Like, and as an investor, that's opposite, right? Right. It's what we do with retail when it's, something that you really want, you might want to bid up a little bit. Anyway, we went over. It had been on the market for a long time. So it was 135.
Okay.
And so we bid 135.
Okay.
Because she's like, that's what you want. You got to get it. Like, actually. And then what happened was the bank processes at the time, and this was before asset managers and things like this, was back in 2013. So they, hold their price, 3 weeks, lower the price, like what? So in between our offer of 135, they lowered the price to 130. We ended up getting it at 130, but we were like, we just overbid the bank. Like, we're so not doing this, in hindsight, we did not do it correctly, but we did end up buying it at 130.
So I have heard, especially in the foreclosure process, that banks are notorious for not wanting to negotiate. So is that true in this situation, or how does that work?
It's very true now. And it was a little bit true then. Like I said, they just stick to their price process, right? They were like, 3 weeks, we lower it. We take that number. 3 weeks, we lower it. We take that number. They're very mechanical. So there wasn't really negotiation. We honestly got lucky because they lowered the price. I think even the bank was like, we can't take 135. We just lowered it to 130. So good. We did. We saved $5,000. Yahoo! At the time, we thought, aren't we the luckiest people? But as we go through more numbers, you'll realize we weren't. We weren't so lucky.
So, what was your estimated ARV, the after repair value at time of purchase?
We went in thinking it was $375.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were like, there is money here. We don't care if we're paying $135. We don't care, and then, like I said, we paid the $130. We're like, woohoo, we are such good investors.
And what were your estimated repairs?
So we estimated $50,000, and I'll just give you a little bit of scope of work on this. So it was obviously kitchen, bathroom. Like I said, we were adding a bathroom and a bedroom. And the way this house kind of was, it was built in 1950, so not forever ago, but often in the shoreline areas, you'll find small houses that were built, by like families, and then they sort of just expanded. And this one sort of expanded in a way that the additions didn't even connect to the house. Like plants were growing, little trees were growing in between the walls of the house and,
wow.
out through the roof and things. Yeah. So we were like, that whole addition, we're just taking it off. Remember, 50,000.
Okay.
We're taking that off. We're going to redo the whole thing. The additions kind of went down steps. So we're going to level out the floor, just make it one level. So it's a true ranch, so on and so forth. Vaulted ceilings. It really is an adorable house. $50,000. Right. So that was our go-in budget.
Now, did you walk through with a contractor? Did you come up with that scope of work? How did you come to that 50K in the beginning?
We really did it ourselves, just based on some of the average numbers and what we thought. So again, it really was, obviously we should have gotten contractors in there, but we were like, we could do that afterwards. And, we can, do this. And again, the number 375 ARV, we're buying it at 130. We're like, our projected profit was like 150.
Right.
So we're like, we could be off a little bit. Okay. What's the worst case if we spend 75, right? Again, and those were valid conversations. 75 wasn't the right number either. I can tell you that wasn't the right number. So we did, again, kind of going in, we were bidding wrong. Estimates weren't really validated, I will say. They were not only right, they just weren't validated. They're kind of going based on what we thought. And yeah, it was quite interesting.
All right. So how did you finance this deal? This is, you said 2013?
2013.
So
yep.
You have your purchase price of 130, you're estimating 50K in repairs. How did you finance it?
So we financed it. We ended up, so the financing part is probably one of the bigger lessons I learned out of this. There's so many lessons, right? How to interview contractors, how to do this and that. But what we did, again, we were coached and just like I do with everyone, we don't want to spend our own money, right? I mean, even though I had a WT job and all those things, we're like, we are going to use other people's money. And I had met with a hard money lender who was still a dear friend of mine. I said, like any of them, when you get a project, call me, I'll come look at it. Absolutely. Call them. Come on, look at this project. And again, we had bought 2 that day, but this was the bigger one. So I was much more worried about the monies around this one. So I got him out there, did my whole presentation-ish, right? This deal I have the ARV and, a couple of comps that, in hindsight really weren't similar to this house. We've got the scope of work where, again, I detailed all of this. Mm-hmm. We're ripping off half of the house, in the correct words, walked through the whole thing, went through the budget. Now, he is just a genuinely nice person, right? I will say hard money lenders, I know, usually get they can have a bad reputation, right? Like they're pricey, they're expensive, they're hard to work with, they're this and that. Like this guy, I just he's a genuine soul. Like I just love him. But anyway, very nice. I almost wish he was less nice, just a little bit more direct with saying, hey, this project, I feel that your ARV is too high. I feel like your rehab might be low for the fact that you're ripping this house in half, right? He did not say that, but rehab numbers feel very low, and the project is too risky, and we're not comfortable lending on it. That was the biggest red flag. The biggest. I don't think many people think of hard money lenders as a second set of eyes on your project.
Right.
No, right. I mean, we had not signed. We hadn't bought this yet, right? We're trying to lend it. Like I could have gotten out of that deal. Mm-hmm. Did not even occur to me at all. Again, he was very nice and pleasant and, said, when you get another project, I'll come look at that and we'll go through it again. And I said, I have another one, right? So that other, remember we bought 2 on the same day. So that other one, I said, I have another one. He came, he funded that one. That was cookie cutter. So on this other project that was not cookie cutter and he would not lend, in my head, I said, all right, I can find lending somewhere else. I have been coached on how to find private money, talk to all the people I know, and one of my dearest friends lent on it. So we ended up, again, although there was this giant red flag from my hard money lender that said, don't do this deal, I just went and got the private money.
And did you borrow the purchase price and the rehab? So right now you're
yes.
looking at $180,000. Is that
yes.
what you borrowed? Okay. And then what was the percentage rate that you borrowed?
I was paying 12%.
Okay.
12%, no points, is what I paid on this deal.
With a balloon payment at the end?
Balloon payment at the end, so no monthly. So, again, the joys of private money lenders, you don't have your monthly interest payments, you're not paying points and, things like that. But again, my private money lender had, wasn't able to give me that second set of eyes that I completely ignored.
Right.
But
all right.
So we ended up doing that. So even right there, that was a giant lesson when
a professional evaluator,
when a professional who does this, who looks at projects and assesses the risk constantly, and when they tell you it's too risky of a project, and he didn't even say with your experience, right? We recognized it was our first one, but we're like, don't we know better?
Yep.
The answer would be not. We did not know better.
All right. So big question here. What was your projected timeline versus the actual timeline.
Yeah. Yeah. People are going to laugh and be like, how are you even doing this anymore? But anyway, we projected 6 months.
Okay.
Because who couldn't rip a house in half and rebuild it and sell it, do the whole thing and sell it in 6 months. It took us a year and 3 months, 15.
Wow. All right.
15.
And you're going through renovations now. You are taking this 2-bedroom, 1-bath property and you're making it a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch. You're leveling out, you're ripping off part of the house, rebuilding it. So were there any surprises along the way?
Yeah, there definitely were surprises. Our contractor was a surprise. Again, like I go through an intense interview process now. I do referrals. I get multiple estimates. You should have, but this was a referral, a friend referral. So it is the classic what we did, both realtor and contractor. Go with people go with someone's cousins, uncles, whatever. Do the easy thing because you know them. Well, I can honestly say it is easy. You can hire them. They're just not what you really need. So yes, he was a referral from actually our project manager at the time was an acquaintance of. He didn't know him very well, but we're like, well, we'll go with who we know. Let's do it. This is going to be big. We want to go with someone we know versus, someone that was very qualified. So we did, that was honestly our biggest surprise going through that process of a contractor. I think I was most surprised at that again, not every contractor is ready to tear a house up and rebuild it. Some can do very good interior remodels and some are much more suited for some of these larger scale things. Probably one of my bigger surprises there, but yes. So
so you hire him and then how's it going on the project?
Project is moving along. Tear down was easy, studs, walls, easy. It's all that finished work just carried on. And then the reality was there were issues outside of the project, financial issues happening that we weren't aware of. And, he was starting to, hire less experienced contractors to save money and so on and so forth. And then as it got worse and worse and the timeline's just going on and on, he sort of went MIA. So it really became this, even the guys that he hired didn't even, know where he was and, things like that. So one day we went into the project to check it out, and which I would stop in on a normal basis. Again, these were our first ones, so we were there a lot more. And there's one man hanging our custom cabinets, elderly, asking us to help him because he had health issues that he couldn't do this on his own. Meanwhile, had drilled through all the cabinets looking for studs.
Oh my
gosh. The way he looked for studs was like drilling through the back of the cabinets. And and during this process, 2 other guys had come in and they were kind of cleaning and sweeping. And anyway, I literally just stood and said, just everybody put your tools down, pack them up, and you're all leaving. Like we've had enough. And honestly, that was bad. Some of the guys didn't even have, 2 of the guys needed gas money to get home. Like they were waiting for the GC to kind of come and pay them. And that whole thing was.
So did you have to hire another GC?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Cause we were only midway, and there's those points in every project, which I would say fire quicker. Like there were definite, you start to see signs, but you're like, let's just keep going.
Right.
Do I go down this road? I'm at that midpoint. Do I turn around and go back? Or do I just keep going? Because I'm going to get there eventually. Right. And so we have that mindset with the contractor. We'll manage the heck out of them. We'll get this done. And honestly, I probably, like when he's MIA, we couldn't even manage him, right? We didn't know his people. We didn't know any of that. So yes, we did end up letting him go. We did hire another contractor. He was one of my contractors that I use. He's actually a client of mine as a realtor because he's buying properties now, but he was one that we used in many of our projects, and we called him in. He actually did the cookie cutter one, that one we bought that same day, and he had finished it, and it was like a few months later because this project went on for a long time. But they came in. And unfortunately, like contractors, like anybody else, you just don't pick it up and start. Like, here you go, right? There were so many things that had to be redone and reworked and, things like that. So, yeah, so that was good. That was a good, a huge budget hit. Not only, like, even if that other contractor had stayed, we probably would have doubled our budget, but like now we're adding like rework and new contractors and things like that, but they were able to come in and do it and get it done.
Good. All right, so you get through to the end of this project and you go to list it. What do you end up listing it for?
We started at $375.
Okay, and that was your original ARV. And what were the comps telling you at the time?
Well, again, we weren't the comps queens. I wasn't as good as it as I am now. Believe me, I learned it fast. They were honestly, they would have told us what we sold it at. They would have told us 275 had we really. What we did was we did a broad comp. Again with the realtor, just kind of looking at it. So we really didn't just look at ranches. We really kind of looked at some, and we were on a main road, which was a busy road, there. On one side of the road was the water. So we're like, we're just across the street from the water. I mean, it's a busy road to cross. So that side was very much less desirable than the other side. The water houses are gigantic in, size, quality, everything was very different. So, our comp, we validated it, but it wasn't correct. Like, like in our minds, we're like we're still at 375. We went in at 3, and we also knew that we spent a ton of money.
Right.
Right. So I'm like, 375 still right. So that is where we started.
Okay. So 375. How long was it sitting on the market? It
was on the market for probably 3 months.
Okay.
And we just reduced and reduced and reduced. Because at certain points we were just like, we need out. Like, like we need to do something with this. Because I have my private lender, to pay.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
who we did, we did an extension with him, and luckily, like it was someone I knew, and things like that. So that worked, but I'm still accruing interest.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So you have it listed, you keep dropping the price, you finally get under contract. What do you get under contract for?
$273.
So $102,000. Wow.
Yes, below ARV.
All right. So you have it under contract. Any surprises come up like during the inspection issue or any of those type of situations?
There actually were some inspection issues that now I look at the house holistically, right? I think we ended up with termites, and there was something wrong with the well, and just some things like that were probably less visible, but like there are things I look at now.
All right.
But nothing enormous.
Good. All right. So
yeah, that was the only good part.
Good. All right. So final numbers here. Hi, it's Jen. I'm sorry for the interruption, but I've got to tell you about this event called Re-Up. It is coming up soon, March 11th and 12th, 2023, where you can hang with some of the top real estate investors in the country. And by the way, they have a superstar lineup of speakers, myself included. So go today, buy your tickets at reupmeetup.com. That's REUP meetup.com. I hope to see you there. Estimated repairs were $50,000. What were your actual repairs?
134.
Whoo. All right. And
Mhm.
your interest, because you originally thought it was going to be 6 months and it went 15 months. So what was the
Yeah.
interest that you ended up paying?
Yeah, we paid like $20,000 in interest.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, good for that private money lender.
I know. He was my good friend. He's still my good friend.
Good.
Because I mean, he honestly, like, he is such a good friend. He's like, don't pay me interest. Don't do this. I'm like, no, the deal is the deal.
Absolutely.
That contracts are contracts. And I firmly believe that. Like, I paid everybody short of ourselves.
Okay.
And that will always be the case.
Of course.
In
You always
my
want to do
business.
what's right. Absolutely. So holding costs, commissions, closing costs, what were some of those numbers?
Yeah, so I have, let's see, insurance, like, 3,500, utilities are like 15. Yeah, permits were 1,000. My PM, so on top of the GM, I had a PM kind of managing him. So he was 10,000.
Wow.
So yeah, so it was a good amount to hold out for that long was a nice bucket of money.
All right. So you closed at the 273.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So total profit.
Oh, there was no profit. No, there was no, there was no profit.
Do you know how much you lost?
Yeah, I actually had to dig this one out of like my ancient QuickBooks. At the end of it, it was about 25,000 lost.
All right. So important question here, Lisa. Did it make you run away from real estate?
No, it actually didn't. And I think it made me rethink everything, right? It just made me rethink, yeah, I'm getting education, but no, I don't know everything. My education is really doing it, right? Like for any of my students, right, I'll tell them this and that, and I'm sure you do the same thing, Jen, but it's like, you've got to go do it. Yep. I can tell you something every single day. You've got to like go do it and learn it. And actually kind of listen to what we're saying. Like I had coaches, right? They would have never said, do this deal. We did not do deal reviews at that time. I kind of wish we did, because they probably would have said the same thing as my hard money lender. And likely, I could have walked away from that deal.
So
could have, should have.
Yeah, coulda, woulda, shoulda. So looking back on this project, with all your future projects from this point on, did you do anything differently, just from your experience from this project?
We did like everything differently. So at that point, Stephanie, honestly, it forced us to do it, right? Because again, don't forget, we also had this perfect project right over here that was 3 weeks in, and nothing exactly on budget, sold, made $35,000, which in 2-3 months, I'll do that every single day, right? It wasn't a giant moneymaker, but there's nothing wrong with it either. So yeah, so I think that also inspired us as well. And plus we were just committed. I probably didn't even tell you. So in between all that, I had left my full-time job too. So
I do know this story. So you quit in the middle of this project?
I quit before this project. Before this project, I quit when we had no projects. We were negotiating. So I'm like, we've got this. I think I quit in October of 2013, and we bought these in December of 2013.
Wow.
So again, that's why I think I just plowed through this. Really, just like, this is it. We can do it. Like,
you did what they call burning the boats, where when you're going to attack, and there's no turning back. So you burn the boats so you can't even retreat. So, and it's made you the awesome investor that you are to this day, and to go through that. But so many people would have given up, and congratulations to you to keep going. And now by having that experience, it makes you a better coach to teach that to other, students as well. So excellent.
It does.
Horrible.
I always say, ask me how I know, right? Like, do you say that to your students all the time? I'm like, one of my mentors, at my education company is they just ask us how we know this. Yeah. And every single thing that went wrong, we improved, right? So Stephanie got her realtor license, so she became our realtor. We put systems in place, right? How we really fine-tuned that analysis sheet. We didn't do the contractual, the rehab estimates on our own. We got contractors in. We did all those kinds of things. We scope of work. We talked to the contractor about it, got the estimate based on that, right? Things like that. So
what about managing contractors?
We definitely did that different. I absolutely get, which I was taught, just did not do it because this was that friend referral. But I do talk to multiple contracts if I don't know them, right? If, the one that came in and fixed everything, I've used him many, many times. And if his numbers are right, and some projects they are, and some projects they aren't. But if he's really like on the money, I'll use him every single day. But when I'm using new ones, I definitely get 3 different ones. I get estimates. I actually get referrals and call them and actually ask the people if I can come see.
So smart.
Often it's their own house and, things like that. And that felt very weird at first. I'm like, I'm going into people's houses and looking at their bathrooms, things like that. But, I was on the phone with them for so long. We're like pretty much friends. And so I definitely do that very differently. Like the contractors really matter because if you think there's 3 steps, right? You have to buy right, you have to manage your project right, and then you have to sell where you think, which in our project, none of those worked. We bought wrong. We hired the wrong contractor and our ARV was wrong. So all 3 things were wrong. So that learning how to deal with the contractors, getting those bids, keeping them on target, which really the way I do that is like a project plan, but it also is their payment schedule, right? So I just literally, this is when you're getting paid. This is how you're getting paid. This is what needs to be completed in order to get paid. And that drives them, right? I mean, they want to get paid.
Well, one lousy deal turning into a very profitable, investment history for you and where you have gone from this deal. And, sometimes you got to get kicked in the cojones to really see and make your business successful. So bravo to you, Lisa. Thank you so much for sharing that project. And we are going to go to the second part of the podcast, which is what makes you a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. What's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
The one that you recommended, right now I'm on a journey of improving myself, right? Over the years, we've worked on the business, and that's not to say I don't still do that. And, raised my daughter and she's now raising her family and things like that. So I'm at that phase where I'm very much like, I have to look at me, right? So the book that I'm reading now, and I have got to get through it. I have to say I'm not a slow physical reader. I just don't put as much time into it. But the book you recommended, that You Are a Badass.
Jen Sincero. I freaking love that book. I have the desk calendar too. Like she has these nuggets that you're like, she gets me every single time. So
she does, because it really just kind of looks at yourself and, why do you doubt yourself about so many things? And, it just improves you, which is an unusual read for me. So that's kind of my journey at this point. But historically, I've read so many of them, right? The E-Myth for real estate investors, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, so many of the classics. I actually have Atomic Habits that I have not started reading yet.
That's a good one. I love that one.
Next one. It is, because again, that's sort of me. I put everything on my calendar, and I'm very very planful about it, but then things happen and I go away from it. So I do really want to build my habits very strong and stick to them and, things like that. So
great. And that You're a Badass book, I like to reread that every year or so, or listen to the audio version of it. And I get something different every time I read that book. I just love that book. So I'm glad you're getting get into that one. All right.
Oh, that's good. I really have to get myself to finish it. I do say I find less and less time that I set aside for books. So that's one of my improvement areas over the year.
All right. The first A in badass is A for advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So one of my mentors, and yours too, because we educated with the same company, but Paul, he used to, and in fact, I have it written and just keep it near my desk because it really just keeps me going.
Paul Asajan, is that who we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. He used to always say, everyone has excuses. We just don't care about them. And when you really just look at it that way, like how many excuses do I make in a day? Like I just said, I want to work on my habits. And it's because on my calendar, it says this is, my call time, right? You're calling leads, you're calling, whatever, but it's all blocked out there. And then something just comes up and I have an excuse to not do it, or I started, but I don't finish it all the way, or, something. So I keep that posted because I just often look up and just go, he's right. We just don't care about those excuses.
Yeah.
And just get it done, just take the action and get it done. So
that Paul is such a smart guy. I love him.
He is.
All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
My drive has always been my family. I've just been a single mom, one daughter, and like I said, she's got a young family now.
You have a new baby, a new grandbaby.
I do. I have a 7-week-old grandbaby. So, and a 3.5-year-old grandson. So we're, and she's done now. So, it's almost like finite. I'm like, I know what I have now. So they drive me, in most anything. We, recently lost like my mom. And so I just think about family a little differently now. I really am, they just drive me in a different way at this point, right? I've got my businesses, I've got the things that I do. And now I'm really looking ahead, and even meeting, with Stephanie and her husband, Chris, and really talking about what I want to leave for the kids, and them as well as parents. But, really like ideally they drive everything I do. Like my vision is I can leave them properties or real estate or, whatever it is that allows them to choose what they want to do when they are through college or, whatever they're passionate in life, and not really have to worry about, I've got to make and support my family. Cause maybe I have these properties for them where they can like rely on that. So that's kind of my vision for them. If they want to go save the world and not make as much money, I want them to be able to do that. If they, whatever career they choose or whatever passion they choose, I want them to do it a little bit with, maybe not with that worry, where I was like, how are we going to survive? Like, right. You're just always kind of trying to make things happen. Well,
that generational wealth is such a gift for them. And,
it is such a gift. Right.
Yes.
And I think, I was not zero when I started investing like Ivy would be. But just think of what you could have done with things over time.
Right.
If you've had properties 30, 40, 50 years that are making you money and the appreciation and the equity you're building. So,
yep. So true. All right. The second A in badass is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
Honestly, I think I was just like referring to that. Like it is definitely my goals right now are just sort of myself, my own.
Putting yourself first. Yep.
Yes. Putting myself first, which has not been my norm. It just, hasn't, because you've been, I've been raising my daughter, doing this and that. And I love helping people and, doing things like that. So, but I do feel like it's just time for me to figure out all my things, how I can, move forward and yet still help the family, community, and friends, and whoever else I might need to.
Well,
to help.
I know the students are very appreciative of you for sharing your knowledge with them. Yes, absolutely. All right. The first S in badass is systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
My primary system that I find has been the most successful for me is my networking system. So that is honestly staying in touch with people
Huge.
it is so huge, so huge. Like, honestly, I wish I had used it more effectively in my corporate world, which I feel like I was successful at, but I still feel like I could have networked differently, probably had a, even better career there. But even here in investing and real estate, it is just nonstop communication, staying in touch with people, meeting new people, helping them, right? Whatever it is. Like, every investor I meet, every wholesaler I meet, things like that, like, I don't have to always get something out of it. Like, I help them. It just all kind of comes around. The reason I met you was, through someone, that we knew collectively,
Right.
and got to this group. And again, it was not really a goal of mine, but it was one of the best things that happened to me. So networking, I feel like just opens so many doors. So if you're consistent with it, I make sure I talk to X number of people per day, meet new people a week, things like that. So it helps as an investor, it helps as a realtor, and it honestly just helps in life.
Yeah.
So I would say
And
networking.
what's so different about this industry, compared to other ones, other jobs that people have, et cetera, is it's not, I always refer to the pie, for example. So it's not like you get a piece of the pie, I get a piece of the pie. No, there's no pie. There's no loss of, if somebody is doing really successful, it doesn't mean that there's less for me to be successful at. And when you get in this industry, you do get to a point where things are starting to flow a lot easier, and it's, you get bored and you want to give that back, because so many people did it for us. So excellent. And networking, again, I can't stress it enough, because I have students who have yet to ever attend a networking event, and then they go to their first one and everything changes just by the people in that room who you meet, because those are your people now.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
very good system to have in place there.
Yeah.
All right. To wrap this up, the final S in badass is success.
Ooh.
I know. What does success mean to Lisa?
I think my success, to me, again, is a little bit more on life balance. As I look at my goals, I do 3 P's, right? It's professional, which is my business. It's personal, which is me. And then it's people, like other people. So whether it's family, friends, community, students, whoever it is. So I feel like my success is driven when all of those are in balance. And that's not to say I don't ever work on them, right? But when my professional, right, I've met my business goals, I'm doing what I, want to do. When my family goals, my family goals are met, my friends, my community, things like that I'm helping. And then myself, right? And when, like I said, this year is a little bit more about me, which I even struggle to say those words, but this one is going to be about me. So it's going to be about, what do I want? As like I said, we just had a death in the family. So where am I going next, and how am I going to help my family and health and all those general things. So to me, 3 pillars, discs, whatever, they just need to be balanced, and that's when I know I'm successful.
Well, I appreciate you sharing this project today. Even though this project was not successful, it definitely projected you to a successful business. And I'm so proud of you, so proud to call you friend. You're a RAIN member as well. We're coaches together. I just absolutely love you to pieces. Thank you for sharing this on the show. Thank you for being here, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always fun.
All right. Well, that is all. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.